Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Lieutenant Atterbury back with the Global Pack Podcast. Today, we have another awesome paratrooper, Lieutenant Starr. Lieutenant Starr is a Mortar Platoon Leader in the Red Falcons right now at the 8th and 2nd Brigade. It's awesome having you on the podcast, man. Really cool hearing how you're doing out there. So why don't you start us off, talk a little bit about, why did you choose the Army, and what was it like growing up in New Mexico?
Well, for those who are probably watching, New Mexico is a great place to, from the get, like when I was in high school, I was like, I want to get the heck out of here. And when it came to the military, it's like, obviously going active duty is a very easy way to leave the state and go start life somewhere else. But as far as that goes, like I was always I'd say like even from high school, there was like a 98% chance I was going to go into the Army if I was going to go into a military branch, because that's what my dad did. He did it for a very short stint, but still it was like, all right, Army till I die. He was in the 82nd. So I was like, I grew up hearing stories of his time in the 82nd, freaking jumping out of airplanes and whatnot. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And when I did get into the program here, some of the cadets that had been to Airborne school were like, yeah, that's awesome. It's cool. That's why I wanted to do that.
When did you find out about ROTC? Is it something because you went to El Dorado High School, did you guys have a JROTC there?
Yeah, we had the ROTC there. That's not something that like steered me in the way of the military at all. JROTCs, even to this day, I still think they're pretty cringy. I'm sure they're good for some individuals, but that just wasn't my thing. But what actually steered me towards ROTC was like how we talked about earlier, is like building the life plan with one of my DECA teachers, way out, like 30 years down the road. In following that plan, trying to go out of state for college after going to C&M for my associates, was like, okay, well, how am I going to pay for this? And I was looking through all their scholarships, and Army ROTC is one of the ones that popped up. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of what got me into the Army ROTC world.
To C&M first, that makes sense just because it's cheaper to get your associates. But why ASU? Was it just because it was out of the state, basically?
Yeah, I had a few friends who went there. They seemed like they like it a lot. It was like close. I think it was like close enough to home that I could still come back every now and then. But another part of it was the financial aspect, where they have what is it called? The WUI, the Western University Exchange, I think. And so it was going to be, there was a possibility, if like my degree matched up and I went to a specific university location there, that I could get in-state tuition. So that's why I started looking there initially.
How did you come to UNM then?
It boiled down to a lot of different things, but the semester in between when I was supposed to go to, or my last semester at C&M, the ASU RU had me get ingrained over here, so that way when I went to basic camp over the period in between my associates and when I'd start doing the actual bachelor's degree stuff, he had me get ingrained here, so I wasn't so lost in the sauce when I went and did basic camp. Got in the program here, and just really the entire program here just kind of took me under their wing. And very quickly I realized that like, oh, I'm wanted here. It's something that was like, that's a cool feeling. Ended up canceling all my stuff at ASU, and then just simple enrollment to UNM. It was nice because between the lottery, the RTC scholarship, and some other scholarships that I can't remember that I got, I was able to live on campus away from home. I definitely could have saved more money not living on campus, but it was just nicer to be more ingrained in like the university lifestyle and be 5 minutes away from PT rather than 25, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you remember of? Because you had basically skipped your first and second year, so you're coming in pretty much as a junior that first semester.
Yep.
What was it like special teams wise? Did you do any of them?
Very quickly in that first semester, in my second semester as a sophomore, they were like, I failed the PT test because I'm like historically terrible at sit-ups, and so I was doing like the extra PT to get better at the PT test. And the Ranger Challenge team was out like practicing or doing whatever nearby, and they were like, yeah, I don't think this guy needs to be in here doing like this extra PT. We're going to pull him in with us. And so I just started doing stuff with the Ranger Challenge team. Yeah, I didn't do any color guard stuff, but I was super involved in the recruiting aspect, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the early shifts for the program into like the social media world, I worked really heavily with Mr. Savini at the time, Lieutenant Coburn, now Captain Coburn, on that kind of stuff. And I would like to hope that it set the stage for you pretty well, having that kind of platform built out.
Follower page, stuff like that. Because we continue to grow, which is really awesome. It's cool to hear that you guys started that off, because you always wonder when you get into a new organization, who started this, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Savini was always really big on, was continuity books and stuff like that. Did you ever work with him?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, he was a bit of a boomer. He was trying to do the fucking social media stuff, but he's just an old dude. He doesn't get it all the way, you know what I mean? So he always was like probing us younger cadets of like, all right, how do we get this going? How do I make this successful? And he realized that I was decent at that, so that's when we started building that out.
Do you remember anything good that came of it other than like you having the page? Was it, getting followers, or did anybody actually get recruited from it? Do you remember?
I can't really say. It's really hard to do recruiting in the second semester of in the spring semester, excuse me. After I graduated or commissioned, one of the guys in my class, Lieutenant Torres, he got the gold bar recruiting gig right out. And so he Mr. Savini like slapped a number and was like, I want this many cadets by the time we start the school year. And of course, being who he is, he shot it out of the park. When I picked up the gold bar recruiting gig after he left, when the fiscal year rolled over in October, I think I got one.
Okay.
And I don't know if she's commissioned or she might even.
Tetrick?
Who?
Lieutenant Tetrick? Did you talk to a Tetrick?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's in May.
Okay,
she's in the she's an engineer in the National Guard.
It's interesting because my selling point to her was that she initially wanted to be a veterinarian. And I was like, hey, the Army is the only military branch with vets. So, and that's how we got her.
Yeah. So it paid off.
Yeah.
I think,
I don't really remember anything about I don't know necessarily if it had any direct recruiting impacts, but I will say that it did give us a platform to have the newer cadets who don't usually interact as much with the MS4s, MS3s. It was a way for us to be like, hey, this is who we are. I know you don't talk to us all the time, but we're always available to talk. But like we did like a segment where we did all bios on like baseball cards on all the freaking MS4s. And it was like, oh, hey, now I know this guy likes to do this thing and has these aspirations, XYZ. So I think if I had to say it did anything specifically, I think it just built more cohesion into the program.
Okay. You had done that first semester. Your second semester, did you guys do baton or anything like that?
So yeah, we started training for baton. So mind you, this is 2019, or fall semester 2019 is when I was like living here, doing the things. We did the Ranger Challenge stuff. And then 2020 comes and COVID hits and everything gets shut down. It was really funny, actually. There was one of the assistant professors of military science, Captain Nolk. One of the other cadets was like, hey, Captain Nolk, sir, if COVID comes to the United States, do we still have to come to class? And he was like, yes, you're still going to have to come to class. And like famous last words, right? Like next thing we know, I'm doing ROTC lab on my computer from home, just doing ridiculous things like that. And then instead of doing advanced camp, we did like the
Agile Leader.
Yeah.
Agile Leader. Where at? Where'd you guys do it at?
So we did our ranges and stuff here down in, I think, Roswell. We did and then we did our sticks portion over in Huachuca.
Okay. Huh.
So they pulled the NAU, ASU, UNM, NM State, maybe a couple other universities I'm not thinking about right now, but it was just essentially like brigade internal, everybody located at Huachuca. And then that's where they got like everybody mixing in with all these cadets from other universities and such, and doing it that way.
What do you remember about that experience? I mean, did you guys just do 10 days of stick slaying?
No, so we had showed up. We showed up a little late to the party.
Okay.
The other battalions had done their lunch complete. So we showed up and pretty much just got ingrained in the platoons and did, I want to say like 3 to 5 days of sticks. And yeah, that was kind of It was kind of annoying because we had to wear masks for all of it. But I mean, it was nice at some point, like the cadre were like, we'd get into the wood line. They're like, all right, you guys can take this stuff off. You should be like 5 to 15 meters away from each other anyway when you guys are patrolling. So
Yeah, and it was in summer, right? Or like June or August?
no, I
Something
think
like
it was
that?
in
It was in October, really?
Yeah,
Wow, at least it was cooler.
yeah, it was.
I
It
can't
was a bit
imagine.
colder.
Huh.
Yeah, because I remember a few of those nights were pretty freaking cold. Yeah, and it like sucks to say, but like the only thing I think that came out of Operation Agile Leader is kind of proved the point of like, hey, we can do this completely decentralized. We don't have to send everybody to Fort Knox and do the whole thing. I think there is a value added to sending cadets from across the country to Fort Knox, but it's a lot of money. So, my opinions though.
What happened that last sort of year? Because now
It was weird because
it's done.
yeah, it was the fall of 2020 is when they started to be like, okay, like you guys can move back into the dorms, but even still, like tons of stuff was remote. I can't even remember the damn name of the dorm outlet. It was like a apartment, kitchen, living space, and could hold 6 rooms of people. But they only allowed 4 in there, which whatever. We already had more people left than that anyway. And then still masks and all that jazz. And it wasn't until I think, yeah, it was still masked and all that stuff, but we were starting to be able to do labs. We had to do them outside of the university footprint just to keep ourselves safe from like large groups or whatever they wanted to do. So we usually did lab at like the Wyoming Armory or around the foothills.
Did you
Or
go to the
base?
What about the Bosque? I mean, did you guys go there a lot when you were a kid?
So the Bosque, yeah, we went to the Bosque when I was in that first semester when I was still trying it out. That's when we primarily used the Bosque. But even there, it was like a little bit too much eyes on. And so we did a lot, like the sticks that we did with the cadets after that was it was primarily on post out by the machine gun range out way out there up north towards the mountain. Yeah, that's typically where we did things.
Cool. Do you know what that last year, where you're pretty much just finishing up school and then you commissioned basically?
Yep, commissioned. And out of I can't remember how many people were in my class. I think we commissioned like 11 or 12 infantry officers, a nurse.
Really? Okay.
An EOD guy. Not actually, it wasn't that diverse. It was mainly infantry. Yeah, it was a decent sized class that graduated and commissioned. A lot of my peers went to IBOLC very quickly after we commissioned, but I was stuck in like this ether. It also, I think it has, there was a lot of different reasons I think that happened, but this is also when they introduced, my year group was the first year group where they were like, okay, you guys are going to get branched based off of the tab, the talent assess branching. I don't know if they still use that, where you freaking go through like 6 months of like rating every branch and they give you like a 1 to 10, and then the next time more, it's like 1 to 5, and then somewhere in there you do like an interview and they give you 1 to 3. And really all I did for that is try to whatever branch like was like, hey, we want you, I just move them farther down. Like infantry obviously stayed at the top. Yeah, it'd be like Ordnance Corps would be like, yeah, we want you, must select, and I'd be like, yep, you're going to 20. I put the ones that were like, yeah, we don't really care for you. I'd be like, all right, yeah, you guys up towards the top. That's how I kind of gained the system on getting infantry. But I think what the talent assess branching did is it allowed for way too many people to get exactly what they wanted. And at the time, I think that was infantry, which just backlogged like for quite some time. So whereas like my peers, they were like, okay, hey, you just commissioned, it's May 1st, 2021. You have orders that say you're going to leave in September or June or July or August or something like that. I just was in an ether where it was like, I was checking in with Mr. Dimmer every week, like, hey, do I have orders? And it's like, no, you don't. Like, and I was like, I didn't want to get a job because I was like, then I'm going to freaking accidentally like get a job and then get orders and be like, work at this job for 2 weeks and be like, hey, yeah, sorry, I gotta leave forever. So I didn't get a job, but I worked kind of for free for Mr. Savini, helping with the recruiting efforts over the summer. And that kind of like free work I did allowed him to, when the fiscal year rolled over and they got a new gold bar slot, allowed him to be like, hey, you're going to give this guy the slot. And that's just what happened. So October of 21, I became gold bar recruiter here. And then, yeah, freaking did that. And then come December is like, hey, you have orders for 211. It's the end of January. And then so that wrapped up my time here. And then I shipped off to IBOLC.
Nice. Okay. What was it like moving all the way out east?
I'm gonna be honest. I liked it a lot. It's a lot greener out east, as you
Yep,
sure
for
have
sure.
seen by your time here. I enjoyed it a lot. I think genuinely, I think people are nicer out that way
Okay.
than they are here. But just for me, it wasn't like, oh man, I miss home, yada yada yada. I was just like, cool, new adventure. Let's send it. Yeah, so I did the 19 weeks of IBOLC.
What was it like when you got like where'd you decide to live?
Yeah, the other guys who in my class who had gone forward, they were like, hey, we're all living at Independence Place. You should live here too. So I didn't look around. I was just like, okay, that's where I'm gonna live. Lived at old IP. But yeah, like I enjoyed living in IP. It was just a bunch of other lieutenants, like either in ABOLC or IBOLC. The battalion commander of 211 was like, hey, this isn't your 5th year of college. You still have to be responsible. We were, but I mean, we kind of lived it like it was a 5th year of college.
Yeah, Nick, also you're at IBOLC. Were you strong on tactics?
I was by no means an expert. And I think the biggest regret that I had in IBOLC was that I didn't volunteer for leadership positions enough. Because come time for first go around at Ranger School, didn't work out my way, and it was because I was like just tactically improficient. But yeah, definitely would have volunteered for more leadership positions. Honestly, like just going into the field on Monday, coming out on Friday with the boys for weeks on end is kind of a hoot. I liked it. Yeah.
It's interesting. So when you do go through infantry IBOLC, at least when we went through, you're probably going to get like 1 or maybe even 2 looks as a PL, maybe. You definitely get your 1, but then it is up to who needs it for grading purposes and whatnot. Always trying to volunteer for positions and stuff like that's huge, just because you'll get more out of it because it's a school to teach you. But then also you take those lessons that you learn to like your unit or whatnot later.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you have a favorite part of IBOLC? Or was it just? I mean, you're in the field pretty much the whole time.
Yeah,
man.
I really liked the stuff that put us in the weeds. It's really like I don't know if it was because when did you go to IBOLC?
I got there in November. I was in November class, so I graduated in April.
November of
2021.
Oh, okay. So you went before me.
Yeah.
So again, Platoon Ops 2 was like the most realistic to Ranger School that they can make it. And that was it was rough. It was a bit of a fever dream. But yeah, just like the memories made when frickin' you're there in the field doing field stuff. It's probably the most memorable part. And then obviously the weekends of just going downtown with the boys and getting rowdy.
One of the things I did remember was we had the 75th Rangers showed us how to, or they did some indirect fire stuff with us. Like they took us out to a range and then they were shooting off 60s.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any? Because I remember there was a piece we did a mounted week, and then I don't know where that fit in that sort of experience.
Yeah, the mortar range
for mortar.
Yeah, we did that. It was more so just like a call for fire.
Okay.
We didn't actually do anything with like the tubes or anything like that. But I think they had 60s and 81s out there. And yeah, it was the same thing. Like they only have so many rounds, so only so many people can call and adjust their fires. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I think Urban Ops was probably one of my favorite weeks. And then that final Leader's Forge was fun as well. Taking the stuff that we had, which was just platoon ops, and then that last week is like, hey, you're now a company. You're going to do a company mission. And then integrating with the other platoons in your class was pretty sweet. Urban Ops came the week before, I believe. And there's this big city that they use for training. First, during Urban Ops, we took the southern half of the city. And then for Leader Forge, we did patrolling out there in the beginning of the week and whatnot. And then we ended that Thursday night in a company patrol base, which is, again, like very brand new concept. I've only done platoon patrol bases up until now, and it's like, guess what? It's the same thing, just bigger. And then we reconsolidated, and I was in the weapons squad. So then it was like, okay, we're going to have 3 maneuver platoons and then just a 4th, like, support by fire platoon. And that was pretty cool. Like we just set up, freaking got laid in. And it was nice because the cadre actually acted as like the freaking company first sergeant and the company commander and XYZ in helping us kind of understand that dynamic of how that was going to go. It was honestly, it was a blast. We took the city. I was in the main building with my freaking 240 and just like laying scunion outside the windows on everybody who was down below. And then it ended, and we did brass pickup, and I did a whole lot more of picking the blueberries out or the blackberries out there than brass. But yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, what for that then? I mean, where'd you go?
So we had a wonky graduation where we graduated on a Tuesday, and then after graduation they were like, "Hey, Wednesday you have a PT test and RPA, the Ranger Physical Assessment," and freaking again historically bad at sit-ups, so like went to do that, hadn't trained up, and failed. And at the time it was like, all right, you failed the PT test. We're not even gonna let you get to the 5-mile run. Just like get your stuff, go back to company, and like wait instructions. And so from there, I went straight to Airborne school, graduated Airborne school, and they kicked me right to the unit. And so I showed up at the 82nd, not tabbed. Again, as you're aware, in the 82nd, that's kind of like you have a slim to none chance of getting a platoon. And I knew I had to go back and get it. It's all like, that was part of the reason why I wanted to go infantry, because I wanted to get my tab. I wanted to go to Ranger school. But when I got there, they're like, hey, we're about to go to Thailand for training. I was like, okay, well, I'll stick around a little bit. I'm not going to go back to CERT yet and freaking go to Thailand with them. And that was honestly an awesome experience. And so we sent, I think, about 20 packs from the battalion to the actual like jungle school in Hawaii. Like prereq to go to that was have to have a tab, and if you had the opportunity, you had to have your EIB. And then they just created an OML and sent 20 people. They were telling the schoolhouse there was like, yeah, you're probably only gonna have about a 40% pass rate of these 20 people who are showing up. And I think I want to say 18 or 19 out of 20 all graduated, and we held the honor graduate slot. So those guys went forward, they did that, and then the rest of the battalion went to Hawaii, and the people who were sent forward to do the actual jungle school did a POI for every day for a couple weeks, just teaching the rest of the battalion what they had learned, whether that be knots, survival skills, patrolling in the jungle, stuff like that. So did that, and then from there we got on a charter to Thailand. We didn't get off in Thailand. And then we went to Diego Garcia, which is like the smallest island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. I think the entire the entire radius or perimeter of the island is like 5 miles. All it has on it is like a DFAC, an airstrip, and some hangars. That's about it. So we stayed there for 2 days. And at this point is when the Royal Thai Army, they came and integrated with us.
Do you have any of those guys in your BOLC when you went through?
I had some I had somebody from Albania. I had somebody from what is it? We had three foreigners.
Okay.
On our platoon in BOLC, and they were hilarious. They would chain smoke like you could believe. But yeah, so we got to Diego Garcia, did 2 days there of planning and prep with the Royal Thai Army, and then we loaded C-17s and fucking flew into Thailand. Did it in flight rig about 2 hours out, and then jumped into Thailand, which was pretty awesome. Hit the major objectives there, hit the assembly area, hit our initial objectives, and then pulled off to do like a wing pinning ceremony. You're probably the only one that understands this. It was kind of odd. They made us put face paint on, but also have our berets on.
Okay.
It was weird.
Just for the photos.
I don't know.
Something.
Yeah, and then we did that. And then they took us to some barracks over in Thailand.
So you did that in flight rig. You jump in. What was the landing zone like?
Dude, it's super flat.
Okay.
There was some ditches to be avoided, and then like there were trees on the drop zone. Like it's just a big open area, so like you can't really even tell what the drop zone is because it's just so open.
Was it like pitch black too?
No, it was middle of the day.
Oh, it was in the day. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like the normal typical 82nd jump at night kind of thing, but gigantic, like 30, 40, 50-foot trees.
Okay.
It's where you have to like really pay attention to tree landings, because one of the guys, one of the NCOs in the shop, he actually landed in a tree, and he was like, yeah, I just did what we were supposed to do when I got there. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. When we were rigging up though, freaking and before we got to like the 20-minute mark, Air Force was playing like music over the loudspeaker, and so it was like, welcome to the jungle. At the time,
that's awesome.
At the time I was just like, oh, this is a hoot. They're just trying to get us amped up. Didn't learn until after the fact that there was Chinese MiGs escorting us into Thailand to make sure that we didn't like float upwards into China. So that's why they were playing the music.
Huge. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
But yeah, hit the ground in Thailand, did the wing ceremony, popped off to the barracks, did some additional planning because they also did, not everybody could get on it, but there was a air assault into an airfield where they took part of the airfield.
Okay.
We did planning for that. After that, like every company had like their own freaking culture day, ended the week off with like the Royal Thai Army and us just like completely integrating. We did some like sports and all that kind of stuff. Traded like I traded damn near everything I owned for some Thai swag. But it's kind of funny because they're just like, I'm just as hyped about something that they're probably like they don't care about that much as like they're hyped about something that I have that I don't care that much about. So
Like
I got
what?
I traded like an Army PT shirt for
Okay.
like freaking just like some Velcro tie wings. And then they have these t-shirts that like I trade some like PT shorts away for. Like, definitely like for anybody watching, like if you ever go train with a foreign partner, always bring more patches or freaking uniforms, whatever, because they are always willing to trade. We had like our mortar section sergeant at the time was like trading away rabbit skins, and now he has like a full Thai uniform.
Damn.
The whole thing. But yeah, it was a hoot. And after that, we just got on a plane, Thailand to Alaska, Alaska back to Bragg, and that's all she wrote. During that time, though, we did when I was in Hawaii. We did the Jungle 5K, I think. Brutal route. The steepest hill I've ever seen in my life. And that messed up my hips and whatnot. So I didn't go back to CERT for a little bit. I wanted to get my body right.
You said messed up your hips. I mean,
Hips,
what were you guys? Was it like a platoon?
It was just
battalion
it was just a run.
Or what? It was a run? Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't even like plates. It was like flick. But yeah, just like taking care of my body at the time was not peak, so messed up my body a little bit. And I came back, did my own like rehab, and then sent it with CERT. Got through CERT. It was one of the condensed classes. So very quickly, I was off to Ranger School, and Ranger School did the PT test, no problems. And now though is when I encountered the first hiccup. My freaking knee and my ankle were just effed. And it was the middle of the summer, so freaking every time I tripped on a bramble or got my foot caught up on a vine, it just made it worse and worse. And I found 4 out of 5, but I was far away, and so I had to like limp run all the way back, filled to time. And freaking after that came Malvesti and RTT, so I went like was doing my best to just stay with the group.
You said you failed. You call it land nav.
Yeah.
Did you have to redo land nav?
Yeah, so
immediately after.
So it was like
right
land nav. And then if you failed, you were going to retest the following morning.
Right.
And so the rest of that day though is RTTs and freaking the Malvesti obstacle course.
Gotcha.
And was doing my best to stay with the pack, but there like you run around everywhere, and I was just falling out of like simple runs because I was like still limp running, but I was like, I'm not quitting. I refused to quit, and like did RT and passed all of them, and then freaking got to Malvesti, same thing, limp running my way through it to the point where like the cadre were like, why are you not lunging all the way? And I'm like, sorry, my knee's fucked up, I can't bend it. And they're like, oh, you're that guy, okay, like you carry on, whatever. So struggle fucked my way through Malvesti, and then next day got up to try to do land nav again, and it'd be done though. So that was my first attempt at Ranger School. Went poorly, but after completing CERT, I had the Big 5, which is just like within a 6-month period. If you fail a RAP week event at Ranger School, you can go back and just test those things at CERT. You don't have to do any of the patrolling or anything like that, and then you just get reinserted with the next class that goes up. So, in that time, I went and got married, and then freaking it shipped right off to CERT or to Ranger School again. So this is the January. So it was the end of January of 24 that I went back to Ranger School. Again, passed all my RAP week events, no problems, and then finally got into Derby. So, and this kind of I was talking about before, like the tactical proficiency just wasn't there. Same thing. I should have volunteered more for leadership positions while I was there. So freaking get done with Derby. And they're like, hey, you almost failed peers. But at the time it was squad peers. So it was like, I was just a little bit too much of a gray man, but didn't fail peers, failed patrols though, pretty miserably. And so it was a recycle. And so that was class 424, recycled into 524, went from BCO to CCO, doing patrols there. And this is the class right before BRC, that recycle. It was tough. Freaking, I knew more than I did before, but the platoon that I was with just did not want to work together. They were all in it for themselves. like constant arguing, like shitty products. And it took me and like the other recyclers being like, guys, we have to pull it together. We are about to all fail if we do not get it together. That came too little, too late. Freaking, yeah, like I failed out.
You brought up something huge. I've seen it before too. Or keep seeing that people are all in for themselves, or they won't wake up for fire darters. Fuck it up for everybody. Like this is Ranger School. Like why the fuck would you come if you're gonna act like this?
Mhm.
Did
Yeah,
it
it
ever
was-
come together or no?
No, it was just like my squad was pretty tight, but again, it's not a squad op. It is a platoon op. So everybody has to be in it. Constant arguing on like stupid shit like SOPs, how to do things, listen to you, whatever kind of shit like that.
Mhm.
And then when it came time for freaking, hey, who passed, who failed, out of a platoon of like 45 plus, I think 12.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah.
It was insane. Wow.
I learned after the fact that they named that platoon, RIs had named it Doom Platoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sucked. Having now just spent 2 cycles and then show back up to my battalion with my bald head. And at that time, while I was gone, brigade had done EIB. And so I get up to the shop, no tab, no EIB, bald head. And I got a bunch of the fatties up there saying like, oh, you're not an expert in your craft, la. And I got back on a Friday. I went home, came back into work on Monday, heard that and was like, all right, fuck this. When's the next cert class? I'm going back right now. And the next cert class was the next Monday. And so I was like, all right, I'm going. I knew somebody down at cert and I was like, hey, is there any way I can do Big 5? And he was like, we'll see. He was like, sorry, man. First sergeant said, like, you got to do the whole thing over. And I was like, all right, so be it. I will say though that I think I got a little bit of grace from the cert RIs, because through any division's freaking pre-ranger program or whatever they have, they'll track you throughout your entire ranger school journey, down to the freaking phase you're in, down to if you've gotten a go in that FTX or not. And so they knew that like I just got dropped and I was already back. So after 2 derbies, my body's still a little decrepit. But the RIs there did give me the benefit of the doubt and were like, okay, like they'd be scolding other people for like falling out of this run. And they're like, I measle my way past. And
Yeah.
like,
shit.
okay, yeah, all right, we'll keep going and that kind of thing. And then ended up going right back to range school. And ironically enough, I ended right back into the same company that I just dropped out of. The like, long story short, once I came back, I went straight there. No recycles, no nothing.
Okay.
And it was a night and day difference of like the individuals I was there with. Night and fucking day. Like everybody there wanted everybody to win so bad. So bad.
And why is that? Like, what is it? The background that people had, or what? Or
I don't know, man.
personality?
I think it was a mix of personalities and like wanting to, you know, like they constantly tell you down at school, and it's the most true thing I've ever heard is like, you don't get your tab, your buddy gets it for you. And that's how it was. Like, and the minute I knew that the platoon was different is in Derby, we're getting ready to step off onto our first FTX. And one of the guys is like, all right, hey, like, I don't know if this is anybody's thing, but like, I want to do a platoon prayer if anybody's up for it. Like, if you're not, that's okay. And the whole platoon got it. And huge difference. That's the turning point where I was like, okay, this is going to work. And it did. My squad lost nobody in Derby. Nobody dropped. Out of the platoon as a whole, we left Derby with all but like, I think 4 individuals. And then we got to mountains and we get the recycles from mountains and same thing. Like I think the heaviest hit we took was in mountains, losing like 6 to 10. But like, and that's one of those times where like we got back from the FTX and like, I just knew, I don't know why, but I knew in my heart, I was like, all right, I'm good. I need to know who's not. Who are we losing? And a few of the people we lost sucked. It really did. It was like, fuck.
Is it just because of the patrol aspect of it?
No, nobody got tiered.
And why? Because I thought with every class or with every platoon, somebody's always that man out.
So this was also the first class that switched from squad peers to platoon peers.
Okay.
And so it took to recycle for peers this time. Or the way that they did peers was like, all right, hey, who are the 3 best? Who are the 3 worst in the platoon?
Okay.
And so that like it made it so you could focus and like, cause that's what I didn't like about squad peers is it was like, all right, well, I like everybody in my squad, but there's people in this platoon I fucking hate. And it allowed for that to come out and be like, oh, this person is shitty because 50% of the platoon says they're shitty.
Easy.
And so, yeah, But then we went on to Florida, and like the most true story of like the you don't get your tab, your buddy does. I was a platoon sergeant, and the fifth or sixth day, and by the time you get to Florida, it's just like increased time hacks. Like, all right, you have 15 minutes to set in an ambush, go, and stuff like that. So I was a platoon sergeant. Being in a platoon sergeant PL position, your ruck isn't that heavy, but I have my FO and my and my medic who are humping around an aid bag and a freaking ASIP radio, and all of it's nonsense. And I keep like, I'm shooting all over the formation as we're moving, oh, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I left my RTO and my medic, and I turn around right there.
Should not.
The entire time. And then actions on the objective freaking are kicking off. Stayed at the support by fire. We took casualty there, and then I move off, clear through the objective after the assault has pushed through to pick up, like, check on casualties and whatnot. And so I got them all, whatever, we consolidate them. I'm like, fuck, I didn't do a 9-line. I don't have my 9-line prepped. I don't have my miss report prepped. And freaking, I'm like, in the middle of stressing out about that, my medic is just like, hey man, here you go. This is the 9-line, full script, everybody on it, all miss reports. And I was like, oh shit, thanks. And then I was like, fuck, I didn't check on the radio. So I was like, here you go, man, ready to go. And literally I just took these two things, read it off, and was done. And then, like, a lot of people like to say, oh, freaking Ranger School was like, yeah, lieutenants against enlisted men or officers against enlisted men when you're doing it. But like, both my medic and my RTO were like 2 privates from fucking Ranger Bat. And like, they were just so dialed in. And freaking got to go. It was day 10 where that's when they start trying to filter in who needs a go over who is just already good. And night of day 9, freaking my name gets called off. I'm like, oh, fuck, I failed. I gotta do this again. Like, this is my last chance. And in the morning, they're like, hey, you're switched out. And I was like, oh, what? And they switched a guy in from a different squad to be our squad leader, which is very unusual. But again, they were trying to get him look.
Right.
And this kid, he was a private from a National Guard unit up Northeast, and he was shitting a brick. He was like, I'm so fucked. I'm like, dude, don't worry. We got you. All right. You're going to be okay. And it was okay. Even on the objective in Santa Rosa, we lost somebody, but we were just very like, all right, let's handle this. So I just took a guy with me, went and found him, came back. It's good. And that kid is actually, he was the youngest in his state's like National Guard history to get his tab.
Nice.
So like, again, like just that, like, you're not in it for you, you're in it for your buddy. And doing that kind of rolling it that way. Yeah, and then I came back to my unit. Within a week, I was a platoon leader.
Okay. Going back to that experience real quick, what's, one thing I've heard, even in your Army career, Ranger School, whatnot, social capital, being able to do a job, whether you're the route planner, whether you're the guy on the compass or, doing the FO radio or that shit. Did you find yourself doing a specific job and being really good at it so that everybody knew you were worth something?
No, I was a bit of a multi-tool.
Okay.
Just trying to do as much as I could, where I could, when I could. But to that point, though, one of my good buddies from Two Fury, you might know him actually, Sam Anderson.
Yep.
He was we picked him up as a recycle in Darby. He did every single route plan, K through K in its entirety for every single mission from Darby until day 7 Florida. And at that point, he was just burnt out. But in mountains, what we had started doing is we integrated somebody else to do it with him. So by the time he got burnt out, somebody else just picked up the slack for the last 3 days. Yeah, but like that's a good whatchamacallit
example.
Yeah,
huge.
And that's everybody who goes to school after that. That's like what I tell them. I'm like, hey, find something you're good at and do that. I will say actually on the opward side is where I found my little niche. We had a major who was an MI branch from West Point, so she took all of the situation paragraph. All of it. And I would take mission until like schema fires. And that was my piece. Because especially after you do it sometimes, it's just like fill in the blank. It's all the same.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. And then like, you had people who would build products. You had like the dirt monkeys who would always build the terrain model. Yeah. Just finding something that you're good at, sticking to that and being reliable at that is another one of those things that you can do to really increase, like you said, your social capital there.
Do you have any other, tips, tricks, before we move on to the next segment?
No, not really. All I can say is just like find a reason that you're going to do it outside of for yourself and hold on to that, because it does get shitty. It does get miserable. But like, honestly, I look back on it really fondly. I don't look back on Darby fondly at all, but I do look back on mountains in Florida. I'm like, I hit fun. I would do it again with the same group of people. I'd do mountains in Florida again.
That's fucking awesome. Okay, but like you said, you were a week later, and then you're already a platoon leader?
Yeah, I came back, took some leave, showed up to PT in free shop, and then showed back up for work call after 9:30, and they're like, hey, you're going to be a platoon leader in this company. They're doing team live fires right now. You want to go? Oh, sure. It's kind of shitty for the guy who I replaced because he found out he was getting replaced when I showed up.
Shit.
But yeah, my rifle company platoon leader time was probably like the highlight of my career thus far. Perfect, just all of it. Long nights that were shitty, but like I would not have done it any other way.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what your company, your cough, anything about that?
Yeah,
meeting your company commander.
So that was another one of the nice parts about having to rot on staff for a little. When I got to the company that I was going to, the company commander was somebody I worked for in the 3 shop.
Okay.
And so he knew I was reputable, and he actually requested me when we came back. And say, like, when he changed out, the next guy worked for him too. And he also was very happy that he had me on the team because I had worked for them prior. Yeah, like the cough was like, I think my office in that cough was like the most homey office out of the entire battalion. We had some like Zinmis lights up. We had a bunch of flags and like a fridge that always had beer in it, a TV in there. Like it was awesome. Good couch, good sleeping couch. Yeah, like, and even in the company, like had a little gym in the company. Nothing crazy, smaller AO because of like platoon AO because of it. But it's like, that was like home number 2, like freaking, I kept all my Army shit there. Didn't want to take that home. Don't need more space taken up in my house. But yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. What about like meeting your platoon sergeant? I mean, when you got to that range or whatever,
Yeah, it was a tidbit awkward because that platoon sergeant and the PL I replaced, they had a really close relationship. And like the overarching, like, oh yeah, you need to, like, as a PL, you need to come in and counsel your platoon sergeant on what he's going to do, X, Y, Z. Like, I think there are some NCOs that need that. But like with him, freaking one day we were in the office just like working, and he was just like, I'm gonna shut the door real quick. Shuts the door, and he was like, hey, look, everything that we do is like, it's on us. And he was like, if you fuck up, it's on me. If I fuck up, it's on you. Like, we got to just look out for each other. And like, if you need anything, I'm gonna be there. If I need anything, I know you're gonna be there. And it was just like simple like that. That was the council.
Okay.
It was done.
Nice.
And then like with the squad leaders, like one of them he was like, hey, we're going to Dirtbags, which is a brewery over there, with his family. And I just took my wife, and his wife and my wife like talked and whatever. And about like halfway through, I was like, yo, let's just make this your counseling. Like, so we just shot the shit over like what he wants to do in the Army and his aspirations and stuff over like some beers. And honestly, like, I know not everybody's a drinker, but like, honestly, that's the way that these initial counseling should go, especially if you have like good NCOs. And that's something I was extremely blessed with. I had no problems with any of my NCOs at any point. They were all experts. They all were like extremely proficient in their craft, and they cared about what they did. Tracking, not everybody's going to be like that. I got super fortunate. The stupid like developmental counseling form of like, you have to sign this, that's this, like, paperwork is made up. Like, the connections is what is real. And you can't do that when you're sitting reading off a fucking paper. You just can't. It has to be canon.
Mm-hmm. And then when you did meet up with them, were they in the IRF? Were they in IRF?
No, they were actually doing a team live fire inside of the IRF 3.
Oh, okay.
And so we actually did that, and then a couple weeks later, we were Op 4 support for Panther Avalanche, and that was a hoot. Loved doing that. It was like getting to do like little guerrilla things and like emplacing and taking like a squad of 9 to go harass a company, like when they're in their patrol base at 3 a.m. Like, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, right after that, it's when we started the IR, so the training cycle.
What is that experience like going from, so for everybody to understand, IRF 2, that's your intensive training cycle. That is when you're gearing up basically to go be deployment ready at the end of that. So you go from the very basics to the most extreme training. So yeah, I mean, what was that like, building your team, your platoon up from,
Again, like hard nights sometimes, very late nights sometimes, but extremely rewarding. You get to take a freaking team from the team level and build into the squad level, and then build into the platoon level, and then go to JRTC and do 10 days in the box there and work together as a platoon. And like a lot of people say JRTC sucks. I had fun. I think it was a blast, mainly because we were just like constantly in contact all the time. He got to the point where I had like 7 people left in my platoon, and I had to be a Carl G gunner, and my medic had to be the AG because she was going to be the gunner and I was going to be AG, and she was like, "Sir, I can't shoot this. I can't shoot anything above 7.62." I was like, "All right, well, this is going to be an AG with that." And for the company live fire, we were the decisive op, which is always a good one because it's the company commander entrusts us to be the most important part of the operation. So we got them with live fires, and we came back, and shortly after we came back, we got ready started doing All-American Week stuff. And it was like in the middle of All-American Week that they were like, "Hey, you're going to be the Mortar PL now." I was like, "All right."
Okay. What is something that you learned there in your platoon that you didn't learn somewhere else in IBOLC? Is it, I mean, have you always been, just go off of that, basically.
The biggest lesson I learned was to trust your fucking NCOs. Trust them, especially the good ones. There's a kid that we should have chaptered out, and being like the platoon mom, we were like about to slap him with the paperwork, and he'd had all these chances. And I was like, being a platoon mom, I was like, okay, well, he hasn't had a chance with me. So like, this is his last chance. And he ended up fucking it up. So like, and at the time, my freaking, my platoon sergeant was like, you're making the wrong call here. I just need you to know that. I know. I just need to have the peace of mind. And again, granted, all it did was delay when he got out of the Army. So he got a few extra paychecks from the government, but like, whatever. But I learned very quickly there that if you have good NCOs, they will tell you when your idea is fucking dumb. That's what they're there for. That is their job. And by no means should you be offended by it in any way. They're there to keep they are your azimuth check to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Like just trusting the NCOs and making sure that they have your trust and you have theirs. Biggest thing. Again, I learned that from here. Very, very early on, they were like, yeah, trust your NCOs. But it's just a point to hammer home that you can't hammer home enough.
The other thing is like, you can say it all day long, but practicing what you preach. I think once you get there and somebody's telling you something and maybe you're not sure, and you're like, oh yes, I got to trust you because you're a good person. Like and
it also comes inversely where like I'm not going to get into the whole situation, but like very sticky situations where I was like, I got to call my CO, I got to call my first sergeant, and I call them and I'm like, hey, what do I do? I want like actively wanting them to tell me what to do, and they're like, we trust your judgment. And I'm like, fuck. But like that developed me in ways that like will definitely pay dividends. Being told like, all right, I trust you. It's like, I know infantry things. I know them very well. I don't know shit. I don't know anything. And so having NCOs there that a good continuity, who know what they're doing, good heads on their shoulders is extremely helpful for me because again, I have no idea what I'm doing. And when they come in for their little AARs after Mortep and whatnot, I have very little to say, obviously. And I will tell them every up and down all day, all week. Like, I don't know how to be a Mormon. I don't. But I do know how to do infantry things and Army things. So like work on this, that, and then whatever. But yeah, like it is very daunting to now get into a job where you have no idea what you're doing. Because it's not like you go to you don't learn how to be a chuck while you're in IBOLC. You just learn how to be an infantryman. But the way that our battalion mortars is set up right now, we don't have enough NCOs with MLOC, the Infantry Mortar Leader course. And so while I would love to be selfish and take that slot for myself, it's more important to me that the continuity of the
somebody else
forward. It's more important that the NCOs have it than me. So I probably won't end up going, but I'm not upset.
So did you then just do JM?
So part of me going to range school was to be a jet master. What made me want to do that is I watched a private PV2 or PFC walk over from a different chalk in the pack shed, find his NCO and be like, hey, Soren, can you JPI me? And he was like, yeah, because that guy trusted his NCO and wanted his NCO to be the one to check his equipment. And that's like kind of the trust I want to give to like my guys of like, hey, I know my sir has me, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Gotcha.
And then like after being a jam, like it's cool. It's an awesome experience up and down. It is hectic. It's very busy when you're doing airborne operations, but extremely rewarding, I think.
What do you foresee for your future next?
I'm trying to go to SFAS. It's probably going to be sometime next year. If I don't get selected for that, I'll be down to NCCC by August next year. So,
do you have any words of advice for the cadets going through this program, knowing you came from here?
I think just enjoy it while you're here, because it's like the freaking Andy from The Office, you know, like you don't know if you're in the good times until you're not in them anymore. Enjoy your time here, because like it's gonna go and it's gonna come and pass, and you're gonna miss it. And the same thing with like being a rifle PL. Doing a lot of things throughout your career is like extremely rewarding, and just acknowledge that you're probably in the good times, and you know, at the end of the day, like just don't take yourself too seriously.
Well, Lieutenant Starr, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yep.